So obviously a hurricane what? Helene?
Helene. Not Helen or Helene. Helene. Hurricane Helene.
And we know this because your wife is the news producer at the only station that's willing to say the name.
Yeah, we just looked up 3-4 videos, and all the news stations would not want to try and tackle how to pronounce that name.
So I just want to point out that if it's wrong, it's her fault.
The hurricane, the tropical storm.
Yeah. And so here's what sucks about this is I've got my whole team down here, right? Where we're in Raleigh. Mm-hmm. There was no impact.
Yeah.
Out here.
Like
right?
a drizzle.
Yeah.
A drizzle. I think a leaf moved on a tree once.
But the entire western part of the state is decimated. Yeah. Chimney Rock is gone. And when I say it's gone, I mean like the whole town is gone. Mm-hmm. I have employees who cannot talk to their family members. Like cell phone service is non-existent. Power is out. They're saying it's going to be out for 4, maybe 5 days. And like we're talking main transmission lines. We're not talking about like branch lines.
Right.
Houses are gone. Houses have washed down creeks. Whole roads are gone. I've got an employee who can't get home because there are no roads to home. Braxton, we don't know if you're going to get home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm in Asheville.
Yeah.
You're in the Boone area.
Yeah. 40's gone.
Yeah.
I-26 is gone.
Yeah.
Completely washed out.
Yeah. The only way I'm able to talk to my wife is she is a news producer and she's able to get to the station. There's a radius around Asheville that is basically missing the roads. But within Asheville, there are a couple of navigatable roads that she's able to use to get to work. And they have a generator there at the station. So we're able to text when she's at work. But after that, when she leaves for the evening, I can't talk to her. We haven't had power since 3 a.m. 2 nights ago.
And I'm guessing the station's on a generator?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so, I guess what I'm seeing right now is there is no water, right? Because in Boone, water's out.
Right.
The grocery stores, part of them were flooded in Boone. The rest of them are empty, right? Mm-hmm. Because they clearly have just been bombarded.
Ransacked, yeah.
People in town can't get gas. Right now, my plan is to stop and get like bunches of cases of water and bunches of dry goods and things that we can take and give out.
Right.
We talked to Jimmy from Jimmy's Automotive last night that's at the expo. I hope he doesn't mind me saying, but he was saying that some of the shops in town have water up to the gutters. And that some of these places don't even have flood insurance because they're not in the flood plain.
Right. No.
Right.
This doesn't happen to Western North Carolina. I mean, this is a deal every 5 years happens on the coast of the state, but the mountains, I mean, you've lived there your whole life.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. They're saying this compares to 1940 and 1916 were the last times we've seen events like this.
Right.
And so, I called Scott this morning and I said, hey, were you able to get Justin, one of my service advisors? I said, hey, were you able to get to his wife? And he said, Lucas, he said, on either side of their house is 250-foot ravines that are 50 and 60 feet deep. He said, the only way to get there is walk up into the woods and walk for 5 to 6 miles. He's like, I don't even really know where their house is at. And he said, so I'm going to be walking in the woods trying to find this. He said, there's power lines down everywhere. The roads are completely washed out. He said, it's just impossible to access.
Yeah.
And so Justin's leaving to try and go find her, but she has no cell phone service. He's not talked to her in days. And so we're trying to figure out what to do. And I'm torn because I get that my team wants to be at home with their families to try and help them. But like last night, they were saying, hey, we're going to leave. And I'm like, guys, there's a curfew. It's a 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. curfew. If you get to the bottom of the mountain, they're not going to let you up. I mean, Mike, you went to school in Boone. They've got 321 closed, right? And that's unheard of.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. One of my employees is here. His spouse is with the American Red Cross, and they're on 24-hour call, right? So they got the call. They were heading out this morning and said, don't expect to be back for 3 weeks.
Yeah. And that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, so we did not, I think, like a lot of people, prepare for this. Like we knew a storm was coming before I left. And so we didn't get a lot of supplies or food. And so I think my wife she got some stuff at work when she can get there, but at home. And I'm assuming that she's like a lot of people, has like half a loaf of bread with some peanut butter, because with the fridge being out, all the food's gone at this point.
Yeah.
And so it's like people were unprepared.
Yeah.
And now I was talking to some folks here this morning, and I thought, okay, I'll try and grab some stuff like you, head up there, get us through a couple of days. But they said, hey, we've experienced storms like this because they're from the coast. And they said sometimes if it's bad enough, you're talking 2-3 weeks for power. And I thought, a couple of days, whatever. But now I'm starting to process, this is really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need to get some serious supplies because, we could be dealing with this for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what frustrates me is the news told us all that it was going to be bad.
Right.
But there's, and this is no offense to your wife, there is definitely some I don't know what you would call it.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Sensationalism.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've become desensitized to sensationalized coverage.
Yeah.
And so when the governor said 24 hours before the storm got here that this is going to be historic levels of destruction in the mountains, everybody rolled their eyes.
Yeah. Right.
Because I live here in Raleigh, and our kids' school got canceled because the wind blew a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Well,
exactly.
and usually they're wrong too. Like, a lot of times when a meteorologist says snow, doesn't happen or whatever.
I always watch Brad Panovich, and the dude is risk averse. He's a fantastic meteorologist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's so risk averse that he just screams that, this is a big deal. 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 And so you kind of like get to the point you're like, man, you always say it's a big deal. When's it not going to be a big deal?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think it's sensationalism, and I don't think it's necessarily intentional, right? They see this all the time.
Oh no, it's absolutely intentional because that's what draws.
We're just talking about that. Yeah,
that's what drives views. It all comes back to money.
So what do we do now?
Well, there's a lot of helplessness feeling, right? So, but some of the members of ASTA, our association, as you've been describing, have been really badly impacted. These guys that are in 100-year floodplains don't have flood insurance.
Right. Because it's not required and it's expensive.
They've got water to their roof. So, everything's gone. There's some folks that have their shop is okay, but their house has been torn in half by trees or landslides. Like you said, there are people who are down here and they haven't been able to get in touch with their family yet, and the roads are all washed out. They can't get home.
Right.
So it feels kind of helpless, but you do what you can try to do, right? So ASTA has set up a GoFundMe, raising money to support members and employees and families that have been affected.
Right.
And so we'll post a link to that GoFundMe, and there's also a link to apply for that assistance.
Okay.
So anybody who's listening who is an ASTA member who has been impacted, or your employees or family have been impacted, please apply to that, and we'll try to get those funds dispersed as quickly as possible as they come in. But it's terrifying to think about.
I think anytime like something like this happens, you think about the bad stuff. Like, what are we going to do? These people have lost a lot. And that is true, and we've got to figure all that out. But it's also an opportunity for the people who are not affected to pour into someone who is. And for this industry we talk about all the time, how are we going to improve the industry? Let's change the industry. Let's move it forward. And this is an opportunity, a chance to kind of not put the money where the mouth is, but kind of put the money where the mouth is, but also come out and help people. If a shop needs help repairing a home, a shop, and you can get there with supplies,
absolutely,
do
by
it.
all means.
This is a chance for the industry to help the industry for sure.
And here's what's cool about it is that oftentimes it's hard to see. We talk about the problems within the industry, and we talk about Jeff sometimes, and Jeff is often talking about the real heartburn of the industry. That's why we call him the jaded mechanic, because he has those hard conversations. But I sat in here with Jeff sitting at the edge of the room talking about this with tears streaming down his face, because you know what I mean? Like the fact that this industry comes together like this, and that ASTA is here for this. And yesterday I was on stage, I was introducing Jeff's panel. And that's one of the reasons that I always talk about it's so important to be an ASTA member if you're not just in North Carolina, but in my opinion, nationwide. That's why it's important that you attend these events, is because you build these relationships. and you know these people. And then when something goes wrong, you get into a spot, your industry comes to support you and comes to lift you up, right? And that's the stuff that nobody ever sees. Oh, I don't like flat rate. Oh, I don't get paid what I think I should get paid. Man, all that's tiny, right? When your industry shows up and helps you build your house back, and when your industry shows up and make sure you have food and water,
Yep.
and make sure your team's paid, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what's our goal for the GoFundMe?
We set it at 50,000. I hope that we blow it out of the water, right? And we've already got stuff coming in, but we haven't really started spreading the word about it. But that's going to be going out this afternoon.
Okay.
Obviously, we're putting it on Auto Repair News today, and hopefully you can put it out on some of your channels as well.
For sure.
And we'll be talking about it tonight at the closing dinner. We've got some tools that we're going to be auctioning off this evening at the closing dinner.
Okay.
With the proceeds all going to that. And, just do whatever you can to be helpful. I mean, think about how blessed we are and how good we've got it when it all gets taken away. So I was thinking about your guy who Wednesday when he came down, he didn't have his Airbnb yet, and he needed somewhere to put his insulin. So he just throw it in the fridge, right? That's so easy. Where's he going to put his insulin if he didn't have power for the next 3 weeks?
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's affecting.
That's a tough thing.
That's a very small window into what's affecting hundreds of thousands of people right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I will say this. The majority of the people in that area, the most resilient people, right? And it's not necessarily that they're better at this or that. They're really used to very adverse conditions, right? We're used to getting feet of snow and roads closing and not being able to get in and out. We're used to not having power. Many, many, many of the houses up there have wood stoves and things like that.
Right.
But the thing is that there's a lot of people who aren't, and they've moved into that area and they're dependent on those things. And then on top of that, I mean, a lot of people just don't have water. And think about that for a minute. Like when you don't have running water, that makes life exponentially more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Boone Walmart, right? Like everything that was inside Walmart is in the parking lot because it washed it all out. That never floods, right? Lowe's Hardware was flooded. All the grocery stores were flooded. And you just don't think about that.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, well, where am I going to get food?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't have a store of it, if you don't have something put back that you can get to. And I know some people did prepare, but I don't know that you could prepare
Not
for
like
3
this.
weeks.
No. I mean, you said it, that we've had some, I think 2018, 2019, there was 25 inches of snow that kind of shut the town down for 3 days.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is times 100.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
you don't prepare for stuff like this. It's not very unusual.
Absolutely. So head over to either the ASTA Facebook page, click the link in the description.
Yeah, there'll be a link in the description, in the podcast, YouTube.
Please make sure you share this. It's important that you share this because if you don't share this, more people won't know about it. And we won't be able to get as many people the help that they need. Now, this is not just a random GoFundMe. This is not ran by just random people. This is the association. There are bylaws. There are things that regulate how this is distributed. There's a process, a procedure for this within the association, so we can make sure that it's not just willy-nilly, right? So we know it's safe. The association's a 501c6.
yes. I don't know. I don't read that stuff.
The president of the association,
Right.
folks. It's a 501c6.
It's a 501c6, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a 501c.
It's a
At least.
Yeah, it's a 501c.
We know that.
And so
Somewhere between 3 and 6.
yeah, it's a solid thing that you can pour your heart into without having to worry about how this is going to be distributed and how this is going to go out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.